Although I run an art gallery, I'm as interested in beautiful furniture and craft-made objects. Because I think really good objects, if they're beautifully made and they serve their purpose well, they make it easier to live life. When I began the conversation with Max Lamb, I couldn't describe the object I wanted exactly. But I said, I need a hanging mirror, screen, storage, help me get changed unit. That was the brief.
The design of the valet began with this idea of kind of hanging a piece of clothing. Almost immediately I wanted this thing having a kind of human quality. I quite quickly was trying to sort of avoid overcomplicating it, and I like the idea of these sort of slotting components, almost flat pack. One of the unique characteristics of red oak is the open kind of porosity of the growth rings. And so we are injecting colour into the piece. It doesn't disguise or add a veneer over the top of the natural colour of the red oak. The red oak prevails.
It will live in my office and it will provide all of those services for the transition from daytime meetings into evening engagements. It will serve me for the time I'm at Tate, and when I step away, this office will be handed over to the next director and the valet will be waiting for them.
I was aware of red oak. It's an interesting material, and the fact that it's plentiful makes it even more interesting. I always like, pushing the design. So when someone looks at it, they're fascinated how it goes together. How does it have the strength? It looks fragile, but in fact it's quite robust. To push the design, to create something really interesting, you need to understand the material.
I just love wood. I'd have to at the Royal Opera House. For me, wood is a perfect material for a theatre. It is musical, it is warm, it is crafted, it has personality. In this small room, I hold most of my meetings where I have conversations with incoming conductors, artists, supporters, and where together we help to forge the future of this great institution. And what better way to do that than to beautifully designed sofas?
There's something wonderful about wood in as much that it ages well, it mellows. Unlike certain other materials, they look somewhat poor as they get older, whereas wood just gets more beautiful. And for me, longevity is more important than recycling. I think when it comes to a product, I think the most important thing is to design for longevity.
The Royal Opera House is an institution with a long past, and I love the idea that these two sofas will be the home for conversations that will help shape its future.
I think to be able to create a legacy piece, it's very important for the maker to give as much as possible into it, because you will give your story, you will give your energy, you will give your identity and your engagement.
I know from watching our visitors that they relish objects. Is one of the great paradoxes that in the digital age, people love real things more and more. And our public has a very high degree of curiosity.
I think it was the first time I was really connected to a piece of wood. When I was carving, I really felt like everything was possible, that I could really express all the lines I wanted to express, even the feeling that you want to touch the piece. It's really connected to the timber itself, to the red oak.
One of the things that we're working on in the museum is to build a new permanent gallery about the future of agriculture. It seems like an incredibly provocative and surprising idea to present to the public a beehive as part of that project, and also the last thing you expect to see in a science museum, not something so profoundly organic.
I really wanted to break down the image of a traditional beehive we all know, this little house. So this hive looks like a tree log, basically, which is one of the oldest techniques for beekeeping. It can be a refuge for wild bees as well, so it's not necessarily something to make honey. It's something to help the insects to live in nature.
I love books, and I've collected books all of my life. They're also very important to my work, so I think books are really vital and beautiful things. However, because of our digital age, people have kind of moved away from print, and that's why I thought it would be a wonderful thing to have a display stand for some of the rare and extraordinary books that have been produced in the art world.
The starting point of this particular project was that it's all about the book. So in a way, it's nearly an anonymous object, and it's only something that lifts the book and serves the book.
This is actually quite new to us, because usually our designs are very bold, very kind of iconic. This time we really wanted to make something modest. When we started to develop the project, we realized we can actually use the wood as the hinge, because red oak is quite solid wood, very rigid. So if we machine the hinges as part of the structure, we don't need any other material.
They've come up with something completely different, a basic idea of a unit that opens outwards, but also the joints of the structure have a potential for being interesting design features. They've taken it into the realm of sculpture. I think the key to this object becoming a legacy is if we'll still be able to love looking at it and using it in 10, 20, 50 years' time.
So we've commissioned 2 new chairs and a table for the directorate office at the V&A Museum, where people come in, they wait for meetings, and we wanted to have something which is saying this is a museum of design. We value contemporary design, we value the power and wonder of making, we value the importance of beauty, all of these while serving all sorts of other functional elements, and that was the challenge. Wood is a really important part of the collections here at the V&A. It goes right from our medieval and Renaissance galleries right up to contemporary furniture galleries. So wood, it's capacity as an incredibly versatile material, its ability to be shaped into objects of incredible wonder, its functionality, all of these are enormously important to the museum. So having Jasper Morrison chairs and table made of wood at the heart of the museum is a very good symbol. In years and decades to come, people will remember coming in here, sitting in the Jasper Morrison chairs. So its legacy becomes part of the cultural memory of the institution.
I chose family because the word legacy means so much when it comes to family. What are you giving that allows them to interact with who you were when you were living? My relationship with wood is quite fundamental as a diasporic African. My family traveled from Africa to the Caribbean in a slave ship and from the Caribbean to the UK on a colonial ship. And so wood and ships and boats just mean something quite elemental for me.
Kwame chose this garden hideaway, showing his journey in his life and then also his ancestors' lives. And then he's chosen this boat-shaped object to have it in his garden. Steam bending, which I really like, is because it minimizes the waste of material, but also the shape of the boat is naturally steam bent. Red oak is very much suitable for this method too.
I suppose what this project has brought to me that was surprising was thinking about having something tactile to hand to my grandson. A natural material can carry our vibrations for hundreds and hundreds of years.
The object I chose was a pen case. There were lots of reasons for this. You know, I work in a cultural environment which is all about storytelling. But at the same time, I'm also really interested in the art of writing.
The whole idea of writing expanded during the second design meeting into a desk, chair, and pen holder. If you want to go into the BFI and write, then there will be a place for you to sit down and pen a screenplay. The idea is that over time, this desk and chair will absorb the creative energy of the previous people who have used it.
I love the notion of wood because it's organic, it grows and then goes on and sort of carries a history with it. And I love the fact that the legacy of the wood outlives the tree itself.
Each of these commissions, I think that there would be a conventional expectation that they would be made in oak because of its tradition, because of its longevity as a material. I think it's amazing that we're using red oak, which sort of hits a reset button on that idea. It sands well, it planes well, all of the processes that you would expect to do to make a piece of furniture. So this legacy that we're creating is with this kind of oak that we should be using because of its sheer abundance and availability, which really represents the thinking that we all need to be applying to design.
We live in an age of mass extinction, and that means that a lot of things disappear. Also a lot of cultural phenomena disappear, handwriting, postcards. To cut the long story short, we thought it would be kind of exciting to use this design commission to bring postcard writings back.
The brief was to create a post box that would encourage visitors to the Serpentine to buy a card and post it there and then.
In our practice, we always like to have an element of playfulness in our work. You start out with the body of a post box, and we need to have a slot for putting letters through. It looks like a mouse. Yes, I like the idea of a mouse. Let's make it lips that would be happy to swallow postcards.
I started actually in Switzerland as a teenager to visit a lot of museums. And I started to do this pocket museum in my room at my parents' home, where I would curate little exhibitions, you see, with postcards. So I have this very special relationship, to postcards. It would be very nice if we can bring postcards back.
If it would influence other institutions to encourage visitors to be spontaneous and to write something, I think that would be a great legacy.
The leaves of the red oak is bright red, like the color of a post box. I think it's a great material to work with.
When I was very young, as a child, I mainly entertained myself with just putting music and dancing around in my living room. So it's something that I've always had. It's a collection of LPs.
She's got a rather large collection of records, and she just moved into a new place. I wanted to create a shelf that displayed the cover and made it easier for the user to kind of find the records they want to play. Wood is something, either you know how to work with it or you don't. You can't really cheat with wood, and it's something that we enjoy, In order to use the different characteristics of red oak, I try to use the oak in different ways. So the horizontals are solid wood, while the verticals are veneered. And I try to, with the veneer, to give a certain movement to the shelf. The grain is got one direction, the shelf is got another direction. And I chose to not use any glue, so the shelf itself is just held together by a particular joint. I designed it specifically for the shelving unit, a joint that fixes vertical and horizontals together and creates endless possibility of modular shelving.
I was born in Canada, and obviously red oak is a tree that is quite common. You can really see the beauty of the leaf, how it turns really deep red. I'm in contact with wood every day, because every day I do ballet, and we start 2 hands on the bar, which is wood, and we dance on wood floors. Wood is something that I use every day, and that I feel physically every day.
My wife and I have a tiny cottage in the country outside London, which we've had for 35 years. We fell in love with this place. And over the years, we've planted 4,500 trees and hedging plants. We've dug 2 enormous ponds. And so my request was a seat to view the sunset.
It's the dream project, to design a seat in a beautiful location using the American red oak. So the red oak has been baked. With the baking process, what's lovely about that is not only does it give it a very sort of deep coloration to the material, but also it prolongs its life outdoors. So this structure that we're making will last for generations to come.
We call it the nest. It looks a bit like a nest, a bird's nest, which is just raised enough to get up so you can see the reflections on the water.
It's quite geometric, really. It's all stemmed out of trying to stack the timber in a way as a sort of bird might lay it, but creating something which is structurally sound and which will last.
When it's installed, it will be the most beautiful place to sit, not just for us now and our children and our grandchildren, but in the future for their children and their grandchildren. That's why it's a legacy.